Hello everyone, thank you very much for joining me today again. It's an episode 2 of our experiment with ChatGPT and Java. And if you followed my first episode, I acted like a junior developer and I tried to implement a Spring Boot application. And you could see that I didn't have like all the time the best experience with that. So as a junior developer, we concluded somehow that it might be a little bit tricky to use ChatGPT. So please view the first episode in case this is the first one you see, and today we continue our discussion. But I plan on, of course, changing something. And first of all, I'm gonna change. I'm not going to act as a junior developer anymore, so I'm going to just act like me. However, I will pick a topic where I don't feel comfortable with. So that is, I would like to implement stuff with Kotlin today. I'm not a great expert in Kotlin, unfortunately. I previously worked with it, but not such as I could consider myself an expert with that language. I'm a Java expert, but I'm not a Kotlin expert. For those of you who don't know, Kotlin is a language over the JVM. So we are still in the Java sphere, but it's not Java that I'm going to use. So I'm going to use GPT-4. This is the second thing I made as a choice as a response to your suggestions, because I know that a few of you suggested me since last time to use GPT-4, but remember that with GPT-4 I have a capacity of only 25 messages. So when we spend these 25 messages, we will have to end the experiment. I'm not sure if I will need that many, but if I spend all of them, then that's it. I will not be able to use more than that for the next 3 hours. So hopefully, with that being said, we'll find out how comfortable it is to work when you are not necessarily a junior developer, but you have to work with a technology you don't have so much experience with. So I imagine myself in my organization. I've been added to a specific project and they told me, hey, you're going to use Kotlin because that's what your client expects. I would say them, hey, but I don't have so much experience with Kotlin. And then they will tell me, yes, but you're going to use ChatGPT because you have a paid license for that. So am I able to use something I'm not comfortable with if I have ChatGPT, if I have GPT-4? Let's see if that's the case. So I'm start by just saying the exercise is the same. So I'm just gonna create a Spring Boot application that works with a table in a relational database. Maybe you want to use Flyware or something different today, and as a language, try using Kotlin. So I would say, hey, I want to build a Spring Boot app using Kotlin. The app will use relational, I can say MySQL DB, and will add data into a table named employees. I also want to use Spring Data. Let's try Spring Data JDBC this time to connect to the database. To manage the DB DDL, I want to use Flyway. So I gave it the technologies. Let's see if GPT answers something. And meanwhile, I also say hi to everyone. Thank you very much for being here with me already. Let's see what we can get. So it tells me I need to create a project. This time GPT-4 tells me that I can use Start Spring IO. This is an enhancement, I would say, because if you remember last time when we tried this, it didn't tell me that I can use that. So oh well, nice. It writes a lot of things already, so I feel enthusiastic about it, and you can see that it uses indeed Kotlin, so my expectations are okay with that. And I have to read everything. So Create a Spring Boot application with the following dependencies. Let's see if I manage. So again, I'm not acting like a junior developer. I'm just acting as myself. So I'm gonna just take this one and I'm gonna say GPT episode 2 first project. I don't think we'll have others. I will use Kotlin. I'm gonna use oh, sorry, not a new project. I want a Spring initializer one. My fault. So GPT E1 E2 example one, and then I want Kotlin, and then I want to use Gradle. Let's try using Gradle, but Kotlin as a language. And then it tells me to add some dependencies. So let me see: Spring Data JDBC, MySQL driver. I do agree by now, so I think that's what I was expecting. So Spring Data JDBC. Okay, here it is. And then I need my SQL driver because of course I want to connect to my SQL database. What else? It tells me Spring Web because I want to create REST APIs, and Flyway core. So oh, sorry, where is it? Here it is, web, and then Flyway. I have Flyway migration, so I'm a little bit, do I know here if Flyway migration and Flyway core are the same thing? They might be the same thing, but I'm not sure. I will not spare one more question for that. I will just assume it's the same thing, and if it's not, then I will ask GPT later to tell me where I did it wrongly. But for the moment, I'm just going to try to follow the steps. So after the project has been created, you need to configure the connection to your MySQL database. So I'm gonna copy the code directly, and I'm gonna go to my application properties file as it suggests. So here it is, source main, and I think the build is not yet ready. Resources, application properties, paste the code here, and I know my database, so I just created a clean database before, so I have the same demo database that I'm using from time to time, you might remember. So I need to say demo here, and I have the standard root without the password I use for demonstrations. Remember, never do that for real world apps. And then Flyway properties, I don't have specific users. Normally, you should have a user that is powerful enough for Flyway, and then a user that doesn't that is not necessarily able to do all those stuff for your real application. So to separate, have the minimum the minimum privilege concern. No, it's you give your app only the privileges it needs for the specific stuff it needs. But in my case, I only have the demo users I usually use, so that should be okay. And I see that I have been created with the DB migration. So and going further, what it tells me is indeed that the DB migration folder is where I should create a new file. So it named the file for me create employees table. Sounds normal. So as a developer, maybe I would have used the same thing. So I still find that it helps me for the moment. I feel comfortable using this GPT. I'm not sure if it's the difference between GPT 3.5 and 4, but for the moment I feel a little bit more comfortable than when I used GPT 3.5 last week in episode 1. And again, the scenario is a little bit different now because I don't work as a junior developer. I just try to be myself, no? So I'm being myself and trying to use this like I would have been given this in a real world app. So it gives me ID, name, job title, department, and salary. Let's say that I don't, oh, sorry for that. I want to put it in IntelliJ here. And I didn't give GPT any columns, so it simply assumed this is what I want and say this is mostly what I want, but I want to get rid of the salary, so I only have four fields in the end. See if I have this change, will I get over it later. So I created my migration, and then I'm gonna just go back to GPT, and it tells me now let's define the employee entity in Kotlin, and I have this this field. I'm not sure where should I create the entity, so let me ask GPT. So where should I add the entity class? So it tells me to edit. So I have the application, I have the model repository and the controller. So it instantaneously told me where to add all the entities, while last time with GPT 3.5, if I correctly remember, it only told me I had to ask every time. So it's already seems to be more efficient. Again, I'm not sure if it's the difference between these two, but with these two answers that I've been given by now, as a senior developer, or as a not necessarily senior, but at least over junior developer, and using it, I feel comfortable with trying to use some technology that I'm not necessarily very used to with Kotlin. So let me see if I manage. So I'm going to create model repository and controller precisely at it suggests now. So I'm gonna back here and main Kotlin, and I'm gonna create the folders model repositories and controllers. Okay, and then I'm gonna create this employee class. And I'm gonna paste it. So this is exactly, and I'm invited by IntelliJ to add a Kotlin, so I'm gonna do that. I'm not sure if it's helpful or not, but I'm trying my best. And I see here that my big decimal is unresolved, but anyway, I don't have a salary, so I can get rid of it because I quit using the salary. And I don't really like, I'm not sure if that's usual in Kotlin to have that many spaces when you indent stuff, but I don't really feel comfortable. But anyway, let's say it's fine the way it is now, and I'm just going to you work it further. So I put this, and then I need to create my repository. I'm using crude repository because I'm using Spring Data JDBC. So in the repositories, I'm gonna create a separate class, employee repository, and then I'm gonna just paste what I copied. So it's the interface, and I need to import my employee. So everything goes well by now, and the last thing it told me is the controller, and then I will copy the controller, but then I would also ask, should I use a service layer? Should I also use a service layer? Because same as last time, it didn't give me the service layer, so it somehow links the repository directly to the controller, which is not necessarily something that we do in real world apps. So now it tells me how to write the service. Funny is the same thing, so it tells me yes, you should write a service, but it didn't do that from the very beginning. And when I asked it again, then it told me that I should do that. So it looks okay. I'm gonna copy the code. I'm gonna assume that it wants me to create it in a separate package called services. I can assume that as a developer, as an over junior developer, employee service, and then in the employee service, I'm gonna paste the class. And you see, it doesn't, of course, work with the package and everything because mine are different. But this should be importable, so I should be able to import all this and then you make it work, hopefully. Okay. And modifier private not allowed here, it tells me. Is it something wrong that I did? I'm gonna hit here, and no, it tells me this. So modifier private not allowed here. I'm gonna try the same, and if not, I will have to ask for help. No. So it says make repository not private. Interesting. Okay. So maybe it's my mistake. I created a Java file instead of a Kotlin one. No, this is probably what's wrong. Okay, so that should be my mistake. So sorry for that. I'm gonna take it again. See, it's a Java file. So somehow I missed. I messed with that, and instead of creating a Kotlin one, so I'm gonna just take it again and say employee service. And then I'm gonna paste. So yeah, that should work. So it's not its fault, it's still my fault, so I apologize, and I'm working further. So if I did that, okay, let me also import everything. I'm using my IDE as a professional dev, and I'm gonna create the employee controller as well here. Not Java class. It seems that I'm used with creating Java classes. This time I use Kotlin. No, employee controller. So yeah, and you would say, hey, it's Kotlin, it's still very close to Java, so maybe it's not like the best experiment because you are still working with stuff that you can understand so and so. So maybe in the next video I will even take the opportunity to use ChatGPT to work with something that I really don't know at all, something like, for example, front-end development. Maybe ask me to create an Angular or React application using ChatGPT, which really makes me very uncomfortable because I don't know that at all. It would be really interesting to see if I'm completely drifted from what I know. Am I able to do that? This is very interesting stuff to see. So I took it like step by step. Last time I worked with something that I completely knew how to do. Now I'm trying to make myself a little bit uncomfortable and see if ChatGPT makes me comfortable again. Maybe next time we are going to be very crazy and try to do something completely new, like, hey, how about creating a front-end application from scratch using ChatGPT with me, with who I don't know at all, and maybe I can even invite someone to supervise my work and give us the advice if I'm doing it the right way or not. So see, theoretically now I have everything that I wanted. So I have a controller and I have the possibility to add an employee and even get all the employees and have the services here. I don't see any transactional ability being added, so I'm gonna add it myself again, but acting like a senior developer, you know you should have things transactional. Okay, and usually you do it like this. Read only. And then for the one who is not read-only, you override it. Cool. So it looks quite okay, and took me less than 20 minutes to build this application, and it will hopefully work. So let me work on it, and then the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to enhance a bit the logic of the addition. So I will make it try to help me write some logic behind, and then I'm gonna use ChatGPT also to write the tests. So, but until then, I'm curious if that's really working. So can I run my application already and see if I have any error that I have to solve before, see if that's really working, and if that's not working, then we'll see. Some questions from your side. Do you have a link to tutorial on Spring Boot, Gent, and Mockito? I think you can find it on the channel if you search for in the Spring Fundamentals playlist. And why are controls and repositories plural and modal singular? I don't know. It's maybe, yeah. when I think as model, it's like stuff that models the data, and not necessarily like each one of the classes is a model, something like that. But again, that's not something like it's not something you need to follow. It's not a specification or something. It's just the way I name the packages. So you don't have to take it as the best practice or something like that. Yeah. So it's created the Hikari pool and it started. So now we need to see if the table has been created, and we see the two tables, my employees table as well as the Flyway schema table. So for those of you who are not comfortable with Flyway is a management tool that helps us. DDL is a script management tool that helps you put in place your SQL scripts that you run to manage your database. It's very comfortable for microservices who usually have their own persistence layer, so they have to manage the persistence layer being the responsibility of the application as well. The way it works, it creates its own table here in the database, and here it's where it keeps track of the scripts that it did run or not. So every time you want to create a new table or change the table or run any DDL script, you just create a new script and add it to the DB migration. You create it as a new version, of course, and then Flyway will automatically run your script if that's not already run. So you see that with this I managed to create my employees table. And next thing I wanna check is that everything works. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask GPT again, can you give me a CURL command for adding and retrieving an employee? So for my endpoints, maybe I should have been more precise, and but we'll see if it understands. So you see, it actually understood it. It also added me the salary. I will have to be careful and take that out. And then of course the get on the employees, and that's something I think it automatically added me here. See, so that should work for me as well. So I'm gonna get this. Where is it? Copy the code and put it in my console here, and I'm gonna take out the salary because I don't have this. You see that it's automatically skipped the ID, and the reason it skipped the ID is of course because it's auto increment. So I'm gonna run it this way, and it returned theoretically the added entities. So the entity that has been added has been automatically put on the response, and then I'm gonna check by running the employees that this worked completely correctly. I'm gonna take the list of all the employees, and you can see that indeed I have the list of all employees. So it works as expected. It's excellent. I'm gonna check also in the database, but since the get endpoint worked, it's most likely correct also. So that's the first part of our exercise today, and it works really smoothly. So as a developer, I feel comfortable at the moment working with that. But let me try now to say that hey, I have one more column and I get rid of the salary, but by that column I also need to filter out the employees. So I need to have a unique value in that column. So I have, let's say, I need to add an internal ID column, which is an UUID. This is an unique value column. I need to take out the salary column because it still believes that I have the salary column. and I need to adjust the service logic to make sure the internal ID remains unique. I also want to add a DB constraint for uniqueness on the internal ID column. A lot of work. I gave it a lot of work to do. I'm curious. It creates me a table again. That's not right. That's not right. No, I already have a database, so I need to tell it. Okay, this is useful. Okay, because I need to redo the model. Add employee service. This is useful as well. So I will take the logic here, see if it works. Yeah, I can see that it even somehow separated this if is unique ID to find the internal ID. Okay, I may agree with that. The only thing that I don't like is that it gave me again the create. So now that I need to actually update the table. Then I say thanks, but I need to update the table. I have already run the first flyway script, so I need an update one to drop the salary and column, and at the drop salary column I don't need that, but anyway I will ask him to do that as well, and add the new unique internal ID column. Let me see. Exactly, so I need a new file. That's perfect. It understood. It gave me the two scripts, including the uniqueness constraint. Excellent. Yeah, and then I'm gonna only take this one because in my case I have removed it previously, but I'm gonna actually take it like step by step. So I'm gonna take that and create a new file. This is it, and then I'm gonna copy the second one is what I need to copy. So I think it made it the right way. Then I'm gonna change the employee exactly as ChatGPT suggested me do. Here it is, and I'm gonna just paste it. This UUID, I need to import it, and I need to see if it gave me the right class here. So it gave me the, I guess it's the class from Java Util. So if I'm going back here, theoretically adding this should work, and it works fine enough. And then of course the service. So I did ask for a change on the service level. Here's the change. So it gave me the full class. Now normally I can only go and change the one that I know how to change. I don't need to completely like change everything. So I took this one, and then of course this is unique ID and data integrity violation exception. Is this class that already exists? Looks so. And then is unique ID is the private one, which I can copy from here. And it looks quite nice, no? So, okay, I need to import this as well here. And it seems that it also added me some change on the repository. So where is the repository? Here it is. So now I need to have this. And you can see it used optional. So I'm pretty happy with that. So it really used it the right way. And take it, UUID, import it, and it looks nice. Now let's see if it's working. So I'm going to restart my application. I do expect to see the second script from Flyway being correctly run, changes to have been done, and then I have to again test and see if this is working. Now, a funny thing is that I'm not sure exactly if the script will work, because what will happen with John Doe? Will John Doe have a unique value somehow, or did it make it nullable? I think it made it nullable. No, let's see what happens. So this one started, and I'm going direct to the database and check what happens. So I have an internal ID here, normally I would probably have to update this this John Doe. So let me ask GPT, can you also write me a flyway script to give a random UID to the first employee, John Doe? Okay. Oh, it selects by John. It gave me the insert as well, but I don't need it anymore. And I think the only one that I need is this update. And because I gave it by name, probably that's why it gave me the update. But I like that it even added this null condition here. So that's sometimes developers forget to put such a condition. You add one more constraint. Hey, make sure that the internal ID is null, because sometimes it might happen that you update it wrongly, no? So I start to like this more and more. And I'm gonna copy this here. In the DB migration, I'm creating a new file, and I'm gonna take the update and put it there. So let me take the update, put it here, restart. To be honest with you, I would actually want to change this one, okay, to something else, and run it again and see if it's working. Okay, almost there, and it started. And I'm going to the database again, and the internal ID didn't get, for some reason it didn't get in there. Okay, let me check the script and maybe ask GPT again what happened. Internal ID, select UUID, where ID is 1. ID is 1, okay, and internal ID is null. So for some reason, is it possible that this condition doesn't work here? So let me try to select it using this condition. Oh, and indeed it doesn't give me anything. So maybe the internal ID is not null. Maybe I added space or something. So it looks like that. That's the problem actually. So when it created a column, the internal ID isn't null. Okay, I'm not going to, like, what I'm gonna do is run the update manually. Normally I should have created a different script, but let me do that. Okay, and then I'm gonna select all the employees again, and oh, still no. What happens with that? So my update seems to be working. No, it's no database select though. Sorry for that. So I think you should do it like that, and then it gave me an internal ID. Okay, fine. I got over it. Now what I want to do is write some unit tests. I still have the time, so I wrote my logic here. I made sure the internal ID is unique. I'm not sure if this validation is basically the best one I could have set, but I have some logic, and I'm gonna try write the unit tests for both endpoints with mock MVC. So that's what I'm gonna do. Let's assume that mock MVC is a standard in our organization, so I have to use that for some reason, and that's why I'm gonna say, can you write me the integration test for endpoints with mock MVC. So let's see if I get over these endpoints, what do I have to do? First of all, it gave me, so it gave me make sure that I have the test dependencies here. So I need to see if that's the case, and then employee controller test, and continues writing my tests. Ooh. So this is an interesting thing because I don't understand all the code here, so I want to learn also what it gave me. So I'm gonna ask what Latin it is. I'm curious. Again, I'm not experienced with Kotlin, so I'm gonna learn some things today as well. It auto-wire the mock MVC. It uses the auto configure mock MVC. This is standard. It add the mock bin for employee service. So this is tricky because I didn't actually wanted that to happen. I don't want the employee, so it only tests the endpoints, but I'd like it to test the service as well. Can you make it so the service is also tested? I don't want the service to be a mock. I want the test to test both the controller and the logic in the service. So it gives me to do that with test containers. That's nasty. So I don't want that either. Not for now. Okay. Test containers is an excellent technology, and I'm pretty sure the reason it suggested to me that is because it wants me to test the repository as well. But what I wanted is actually to mock the repository, so I didn't want to do that. Now I'm curious if it already put this to me, would I be able to do that with only what it tells me here? I'm pretty curious, maybe. So because I'm so curious, I will actually test it, but I'm very concerned that it's a little bit more than what I expected to do. So let's see, it created me the test, it created me the container for my SQL with the properties that I need to set, and the mock MVC used appropriately, but it goes to a database directly. Okay, why not? So let's try to do that. So then I'm gonna just copy the code, and I'm gonna go to my Gradle and make sure I have everything in place here. I see I already had a test starter, and I'm not sure if I need to do anything else. Okay. Because initially it also suggested me to add the JUnit Jupyter. So I will try without it. In the second one, I only have test containers. So maybe that's fine. And then I'm gonna rename my class employee controller test now. So I'm gonna go here in the test package. It's a Kotlin, but I want to refactor it and rename it to what it gave me. And now I'm gonna make sure that it looks exactly the way ChatGPT suggested me. So I'm gonna take it exactly as is and put it here. Okay, let's try to update the Gradle project. Maybe it was a good idea to also take the imports, just not to go and import manually, because there are a lot of them, it seems. So what if I take also the imports and put them here? Okay, looks to be working. And then I'm gonna read everything that is said. Maybe I missed something. So it tells me annotation signal what we are using. Okay. So autocompleteness database annotation tells me to not to replace the data source autoconfigure but test containers. Dynamic property source. Okay. Looks good. Why not? And then in terms of the logic, so in terms of the logic, I'm going to review it. It says the employee, and this is probably the object it wants to add. I need to import it as well, so I imported it. Okay, and it tells me this is not a function. And to be honest, I'm a little bit, I don't know exactly what to do here. Is this a function or is not a function? So let me actually run it and see what's the error, and then copy the error and ask ChatGPT to help me with that. Oh, your company. Oh, okay. So we have a few problems, but they are because I have like copy pasted everything myself. So maybe a part of it is my fault. And then test containers JUnit Jupyter. It says import name test is ambiguous. Let me try again after I took them out. And okay. I'm gonna see if this import is that way here. Okay, it says it's okay. So then I'm gonna ask for help now. So I'm gonna say unresolved reference JUnit. Okay. So JUnit depends are missing, so I should have added that as well, no? But it didn't tell me. Probably it assumed that I used it primarily. So I'm gonna take this, go back to my dependencies, add them precisely as suggested, and see if it saves me. Okay, I'm gonna try to run the test again. And it gives me the same thing, so that's pretty bad, you know, so that's pretty bad again. It tells me the same thing, and at this moment I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. So the only thing that I can do is try to copy this dependency as well, although I'm not sure I'm in that case. And yeah, I said the rule is you can't use Google, so I can't use Google. So I need to figure this out with ChatGPT if I can. But it was a pretty anyway. This is something that I didn't want to do in the beginning. No, I wanted to have an integration test and mock the repositories. So I was just curious if I make it work that simple, and I was pretty sure that it will not be the case. No, it will not be the case to make things that easy. So it says the same thing. Okay. Okay, let me try again. I will insist. So the following packages aren't found. Isn't this the same thing I have already added? Test containers 1.16.0 and test containers JUnit Jupyter. I don't have this one, no? So test container JUnit, the second one seems not to be part of my project. So let's see if that was actually the case. Okay, I'll try again to update. But you see, it's already, I feel uncomfortable now because I'm pretty sure I added here more dependencies than I need. And it still didn't solve my problem anyway, or not yet, maybe. It's still updating. Oh, it did solve my problem. Okay. Looks good. We still have some error, but seems that at least we managed to get over the one that we had. And then I will tell you the last thing I have. So now it gives me this. And it tells me, hey, you should import. Okay, sounds good. Maybe a static import would have been better. Can I make this a static import as well? I'm not sure how many questions I already asked. I only had 25, but seems that it's still answering me. Okay. So let me copy this and see if it solves my problem. Since I already had that and it didn't, maybe the upper one solved my problem. Okay. And should this be like this way? Maybe. Okay. So let me run the test. Now I have to be honest with you. So the first part, the implementation, made me feel very comfortable. The testing at the moment, the way it went, it didn't make me very comfortable. And the reason is I seem to have done more things. First of all, I seem to have done things not the way I wanted them to be. Secondly, I don't really understand these tests, so I need to figure out if they are or not what I need. So one of them seems to make sure that I add something. So what it does, it posts and it obtains the status, but it never actually it never checks if the insert really worked. Even if it asked me to use test containers, I don't see why would I use that if it doesn't help me to check also that it really works storing the data. So that's one thing. The second one, So what it does, it posts something and then it gets. This is a little bit more realistic, no? Because it posts something and then it makes sure that what I get back is fine. But this one here, add employee, I don't see how this test is good at all. So if I would see this kind of test written by one of my colleagues, one of my developers, I wouldn't agree with it at a code review. This looks more realistic, although you could do that in a better way, I would say. But and at least it works. But this one, I don't see how this one works. So I have to be honest, this one doesn't look like something I would have expected to see from a professional developer. And of course, things don't work. So I have to check out more here, and I don't have the time to go into deep of that. I'm pretty sure that no valid configuration was found. I'm pretty sure that I would be able to step over this. Now, in a realistic environment, most likely I would have to go also and read some documentation, so I can't rely only on ChatGPT, and it would be fine. At the moment, I feel like the development went pretty well. But where I didn't started feeling comfortable is where it went beyond the things that I wanted, and I didn't know how to tell it, hey, this is not what I want, no? So because I tried one second time and then still created something differently. So I think it really needs to have a real solid description. Hey, this is exactly what I want. Maybe give it an example of unit test. This is the unit test I want. Can you cover all the other cases? Next time I might want to do that, because in the end here, the way tests were created, I don't think these are really useful tests. I think these are tests done like someone who wanted to cover the lines but didn't think about what exactly am I testing there. That's my feeling. So I'm curious if I managed to find something. Oh, okay, it needs Docker on my machine, which is obviously normal because I'm using test containers. I would not be able to install it anyway on this computer, but I think that's something that would work after you install that. Fine, that solves my questions, except only one. So I want to also know what that is, since I'm not comfortable with Kotlin. I want to understand what's this, and this way I also learn more. You used what does this word do in Kotlin? So let's see. Delay the initialization of non-null properties or variables. Okay. Is this something you can do in Java in another way? So maybe the question is actually, is this equivalent to dependency injection left null or something? Okay, so it makes sense because in Kotlin you can't have null objects, but you can somehow say, hey, I will initialize this later. In Java it would be simply declare it null because you can do that, but in Kotlin you can't do that. So now I understood. So at least it seems to be pretty good with the learning, and I can say that from the learning point of view, the only thing that I really understood, knew from Kotlin was this. Otherwise, if you would ask me to write this syntax again by heart, I wouldn't be able to do so. The reason is I simply copy pasted it. So as a developer, I'm curious whether I would enhance my Kotlin skill if I, starting from my initial scenario, if I would have to work with it. Would this help me also learn the language? And up to now my answer would be no, because honestly, if you now put me close this this window and ask me rewrite completely what I have written, so this entire project here, most likely I wouldn't be able to do that. So it creates a dependency on you and the GPT, or you can use it while you are learning, but as a developer not knowing the language, I don't think this is really a tool to be used. So I would still be very careful with using it with things that I don't know, because then the question is, do I know if I really do the things the right way? Because in an organization, in a real world application, this is very important. It might be the difference between writing a good application and writing a shitty application that would need to be rewritten like in a few years from now on. And remember that one of the things that we want to do is always make sure that you rewrite applications which can be used for like and enhanced for many years. Maintainability is one of the most important things, and my feeling is that I'm not sure what I wrote here is really maintainable code, simply because I don't know the technology. So whether I use AI, at least now, the up to the things I've learned from the first 2 episodes, is I would use this if I know already the stuff and I want to just be faster. I wouldn't use it with things that I don't know. If I don't know something, I should still spend a lot of time researching that, learning that first, and using it only after I'm pretty comfortable this is the thing I really need to write. Because with an example, things are easy, but in real world, things are like difference between a professional developer and a non-professional one is that the professional knows how to write the code so that it's an application that will last for many years and is not only functional at the moment, but it keeps the things it needs to keep to be functional also in the future. Guys, thank you very much for being here with me. I hope this experiment of ours today brought you some more details into how to use AI. I plan some more experiments in the future, so stay with me. And until then, I wish you an excellent time for learning further and hope to see you soon. Cheers everyone. Thank you very much.